You're not going to see the Chiefs on Sunday, but the AFC and the AFC West are changing every moment of every game. What does it look like for the Chiefs next?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We truly appreciate it. And a reminder that you can follow the show and hear new episodes ad-free daily on Amazon Music, just like you do in a number of places. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell. Join us there. We appreciate you every dayers. That's why we do this, because our show is every day, 25-ish minutes to give you your commute, your ride home, whatever you're looking for, your workout. We got you. You want to hear Chiefs? We're going to give it to you every day. If you don't know us, this is Chris Clark. I'm Ryan Tracy. We've been doing this 9 years. I can't even point to myself these days. Chris is at KC Chiefs Corner. I'm at NFL33.com and RGRfootball.com. And we are the original and 9-year hosts of this show. We've been covering this team for a few years beyond that on our own. But we've seen it all in the Andy Reid regime. And yet some things still surprise me, just like they do the rest of the league. And the fact that people don't necessarily believe the Chiefs are contenders at this point. The media's been going crazy this week. They don't play till Monday night. We're going to give you our normal preview coming up for Monday, so don't miss that. But we want to talk about what's going on around the AFC. We're going to start with the AFC in general, who the contenders are, what they look like. Are they still contenders? That's the key here. Then the AFC, after 4 weeks, roughly quarter, I know it's just under 0.25% of the season. Where is the AFC West? How do we feel it actually is stacked up, given who's played who? And then, is there a possible reunion in front of us? Fun story, interesting story, and many levels that we're going to go through about one Tyreek Hill in your Kansas City Chiefs coming up later in the show. I'm excited about this one because I like taking stock against the rest of the AFC in particular. And there's plenty to go through here. We'll have a couple of Jags references in here as well, but I want to start right off the top that the Chiefs have yet to play, obviously, a large group of the AFC West. They've only played one team. I hate that it was the first week, but it is what it is, and that's fine.
I hate that it was out of the country.
Yeah, agreed. They faced a tough defense, and it wasn't the cleanest game. They weren't terribly organized. Now, that generally would make me feel like, I'm not quite as enamored with their chances, right? And at the time, I probably wasn't. To be honest, they didn't look like they could fight off the rest of this division or this conference, to tell you the truth, early. But when you look at it, 4 weeks in, that game against the Chargers, obviously both an AFC and an AFC West opponent with a negative, their defense, a negative 0.11 EPA overall. The good thing about this is, as I look down this list, I'm enjoying the fact that they've played the Eagles, also a minus 0.8 EPA per play. The Texans are out there. They're also a good defense. But as I look down, Broncos are a good defense. We'll talk about them coming up. The really intriguing thing, the Colts are off to a good start. Didn't have to punt much, right? They are 14 in defensive EPA. Raiders are below the Chiefs. Buffalo Bills are 20th on the defensive side in EPA Shocker. Given up, right? And so them, obviously we know about the Ravens and what's falling apart there. Old Joe Cool is ice right now, and the Bengals defense is like down at 27th in the league. We know how the Dolphins have fallen off the track. Even the Pittsburgh Steelers are in 20s. Does that make you feel good?
I would say I don't think that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be contenders this season. I don't think that there's any possible way that they go from where they are right now and even be in the playoff hunt by the time Joe Burrow is able to come back and play. And I do think that there's also another, and I know we're talking about the Chiefs, but I think there's another question of, is Joe Burrow injury prone? And is this not necessarily the beginning of the end of his career, but is it one of those situations where he's just not going to be able to stay healthy?
And I thought this podcast was going to be the nice one of the weekend. Okay, so we're going there, huh?
All right, go there. All right. He has continuously been injured and cannot stay healthy, and that is a severe problem. And I'm not saying it's necessarily on him. His offensive line has stunk for years, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem that I think that they could have is go look at what you have with Jamar Chase against his coach. Because right now, those two aren't getting along either, and I get it. But you've got Chase, and Chase is going to be there for years. They just paid him a ton of money. So
I just love that you took it there on a Friday afternoon. So if you guys happen to be on your second listen, making us your second if you are a Bengals fan, and you've already heard James and Jake, well, let them know that we're not so sure about Joe's future. So we'll see how they react to that.
I'm not.
I know you're not. I
actually just had this argument with a friend of mine the other day, and yeah, it didn't go very well. It was not very pleasant, but that's fine. Like, I get it. I understand wanting to think that he can continue and maybe he can be something in the future, and maybe he could be if he could stay healthy. But if they don't get the offensive line figured out, which they haven't since he's been there, and now they've got it to where they can't afford to pay an offensive line because they just paid both of their wide receivers huge money. And they're paying Joe Burrow already. So Good luck. And their defense sucks. So how do you really
feel,
there?
Christopher? I don't know. Okay.
Well,
the reason I brought the Bengals up in the first place is because I'm trying to look at the first quarter of the season, right? And they were considered contenders before the season started, right? So they've fallen away. Obviously, the Dolphins have fallen away. I don't know that I felt like they were a Super Bowl contender, but I thought that they could be a wild card team. I did truly feel like that. Baltimore certainly has fallen away. The fact that the defense for
Baltimore is
going to
be without 20th. Baltimore's going to be without Lamar Jackson this week, and they lose a couple more games, they're going to be out of the playoff hunt pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's a ton of contenders in the AFC that have fallen away. And the fact that the Buffalo Bills are 20th on defense, is you can talk about their offense all you want, and it's good. It's going to be a tough matchup. But the fact that their defense is giving up so much right now, if that continues, the Chiefs are going to be in a better spot than I thought they would when they eventually meet them as well. The teams at the top, there's a few AFC teams, including the Jags. At number 2, Denver Broncos, obviously, and the Chargers. We're going to talk about those guys coming up. But then it's a bunch of NFC. I'm looking down the list right now. It doesn't get down to like 13 Cleveland Browns, who just named a rookie quarterback their starter. And I actually have faith in Dylan Gabriel. It's going to be a tough first game out for him.
And not the rookie quarterback that people would think.
No, because the other one's dog do. Shedeur Sanders is not an NFL quarterback, folks. And the way he keeps acting, he ain't ever going to be. So we don't have to worry about that one. But I just feel like
I was going to be the mean one. Okay, I see how it is.
Well, you got me started. At this point, my point is that there's a few teams that defensively I think can still put up a fight against the Chiefs. 2 of them happen to be in our division. We'll get to them in a second. But I do feel that as the Chiefs get back on track, the AFC and the contenders within it are starting to thin out already, and we're only 4 weeks in. It's kind of nuts. But there's plenty of other things that are nuts, and they start in the AFC West, which is tougher and a little bit crazy in some ways. We're going to break down the Broncos in particular coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square, and there's certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's a local sports bar packed with game days or a coffee shop that just makes your order by heart and knows it every single time, down to the corner deli. They've been serving the community for decades, and these are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And if you're going to go to Casual Animal Brewing and help them out, make it feel like home, they're going to give you the best during Sunday football season. Everyone's got team colors on. The energy is incredible, and it makes it feel like the entire block is cheering together. Square is a proud partner for more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot like Casual Animal Brewing, and you'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda, moving the game forward. And for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward itself. Xavier Worthy is a prime example of that. A lot of people had the Chiefs down and out until miraculously they are reborn with Xavier Worthy back on the field. His impact cannot be understated, from the stretch plays to the end arounds to on the ground, everything that allows Patrick Mahomes to be himself and to emphasize and put pressure on the opponent. That's what Xavier Worthy did this week. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
Color me absolutely shocked that you decide to go with the AFC West team that actually has a defense first.
What an idea, right? I mean, we should. Because the reason is it's not just the defense. All the defense plays into this. The reason I put them first is because I had them as the number 2 team in this division preseason. Now, that is saying something because a lot of people feel like the true start that the Chargers have gotten off to is legit and should be staying that way. I don't happen to agree. I don't think the Chargers' success to this point is going to end up being as full of longevity as they hope so. How do you feel about Chargers versus Broncos right now and where they sit?
Well, considering the Chargers have lost both starting left tackles before the second month of the season, I think that says just about everything you need to know about their chances going forward. Their offensive line can't stay healthy, and that's a big problem. And if you are going to continue to put Herbert in a situation where he can't stay healthy because he's been dealing with injuries the past couple of years as well, Chargers deal with a ton of injuries every single year. It seems to be something that just continues to happen to that team. I don't understand it, but I don't know how you get past losing your top 2 tackles, and maybe Alt's back in 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe he plays before then, but you're still not going to be in a good situation. And you have a tough test this week against Washington if Jaden Daniels is back. So you go from 3-0 to losing a game you probably should have won, and now you're in a situation where you're going up against Jaden Daniels. I think that they could easily be 3-2 by the time that the Chiefs take the field Monday night.
Yeah, I have to think so. That is a definite possibility. And as it stands, we know that the Chargers are actually the only team right now that has a win in the division. They are out to a 3-0 division lead. The rest of us, including the Kansas City Chiefs, are at 0-1. So I realize that this is a tall order, but I just don't see the longevity there for them. And I do think that the defensive stand, in particular the pass rush the Denver Broncos are bringing to town, I think in the end will allow them to catch up to the Chargers. I still have the Broncos finishing second in this division to these Chiefs, who are all knotted up right now at 2-2 overall and 0-1 in this division right now after a quarter of the season. What do you think this turns into?
I still think Kansas City has a good chance. If I was to look at these team schedules and figure out which one I think has the best chance to go on a run, I think it's Kansas City. I think their offense is starting to show that they are turning a corner, and their defense has already shown that I think they're probably a top. Scoring wise, they're probably not there yet, but I think they're going to be a top 5 defense by the end of the year, or easily top 10. And that's going to be good enough when you start getting into the playoffs and you start looking at the offenses that they're going to be going against. Spagnuolo has shown consistently that he finds different things to take advantage of in the playoffs. And that's partially why Josh Allen has continuously lost to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Not saying that can't change in the future, but when you look at this, I think that Kansas City has the best opportunity to go on a run. As long as they can stay healthy, you're in a situation where you just got Xavier Worthy back. And you and I were questioning whether or not necessarily that he couldn't be useful, but how useful could he be because of the injury and the fact that he's going to be limited in what he can do. He showed after 1 week how valuable he is to this offense, and you haven't even got your best wide receiver back yet in Rashee Rice, who will be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, I do think that it's a good I think we'll talk about the Jaguar game on Monday, but I'll just go ahead and say this now. I think there's a good chance that Kansas City is maybe 3-3 going into when Rashee Rice comes back. That's going to be a topic for another conversation, but I do think that they're going to be in the best case scenario that they can not necessarily run the table, because they're going to probably lose again to the Bills, because they usually do that during the regular season. But when I look at this team, they're going to be in a situation where they had an offense that they were planning to run. They got people injured. They lost Rice to a suspension. when all that ends, this offense is going to open up, and the defense has already shown that they're for real. So it's really going to be hard for me to pick against Kansas City finding a way to win this division for the 10th year in a row.
Yeah, I agree. A solid decade is on the table here. So now I know some of you might be saying, hey, well, what about the Raiders? And my answer is, well, what about the Raiders?
What? The who?
They're not in this conversation. Yes, they live in the West. That's about all I can tell you. When I look at these other two teams, it becomes very clear to me there's a couple of thorns in their offensive production as well, and I want to point those out. First, Los Angeles Chargers are 29th in red zone efficiency right now in terms of putting up points. They are 30th in goal-to-go efficiency. So feeding into that old style that we've seen Spags do, the bend, don't break, play your game inside the red zone, that plays into it. When you look at the Broncos, their thing is, yeah, okay, so they don't convert fourth downs. I'm not too worried about, but they also are 24th in goal-to-go efficiency. So both these teams' offenses play into what Spags needs. So I see that as a combative piece as well, and that just feeds into the fact that I think we are seeing evidence the Chiefs can still take this.
And who do the Raiders have at QB?
Well, I don't mind Geno as a person.
But my point remains that when you look at these four teams in the division, City, Chargers, and I would even throw Bo Nix in to an extent. I'm not going to put him on the same level as Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes, obviously, but I think he's a good quarterback. I still think he's way above what Geno Smith is. And good luck with that being your quarterback in this division.
Well, and I'll tell you that you picked the right thing to point out. 32nd, the Raiders are in interceptions per attempt. 32nd. I can't talk much about their offense. If we want to touch on their defense, okay, they're good on first and goal. Okay, that's fine. Their red zone efficiency is actually pretty good on the defensive side. So that it plays into, more of a Max Crosby, like physical confrontation that they feel maybe they can give them a little bit. But passing yards, net yards, their offense just isn't working. And unless something drastic happens there, I don't see them competing for this division.
It'll be tough. I just don't see how you continue looking at the Raiders and think that they're going to be somebody that can contend. The one thing I will say, and this is kind of the thing that will help the Chargers over the next couple of weeks, Chargers schedule Commanders, which I think they lose, Dolphins the next week, which should be a win, but then they play the Indianapolis Colts. To me, I think there's 2 losses in 3 weeks there. But they still have an easier schedule. I mean, you have the Minnesota Vikings and then the Tennessee Titans. I think you can win both those games. Then they play Pittsburgh in week 10 and Jacksonville in week 11. Like, I really do think that they could probably win 2 or 3 of those games. I don't think that they win most of them. So it's going to depend on, especially if you can keep Justin Herbert upright and healthy and not having to play on a bum ankle. I mean, if he gets hurt with the tackle issues that they have, that's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah. I mean, an injured quarterback for the Chargers will be devastating. Injured quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, I don't know that you're missing a whole lot. We're going to talk about what they might look like coming up next.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
This is where things get interesting. There are teams that are approaching no man's land, where honestly anything goes. You mentioned before that the Baltimore Ravens are in a sticky spot without Lamar able to go, which maybe leads a little bit of credence to maybe he actually was hurt against the Chiefs late in the game. I don't know. I'm still not 100% on that one, but without him,
never saw the injury, but whatever.
Agreed. And much like the guy we're about to talk to, if he was injured, he didn't show it on his face. That's something the two of them had. Something the two of them had in common.
He was very happy, which was crazy considering the injury he dealt with.
Right? It was a very Earl Thomas moment for me, and I said it at the time. That's what it felt like. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just Google Earl Thomas and Carroll, and you'll see what I mean. That said, the Dolphins are in a spiral as well. They haven't been performing well, and now Tyreek Hill is hurt. A lot of speculation. A lot of fans want Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City, especially knowing that he's been a malcontent. And honestly, the fact that he's a malcontent should give you a little bit of warning, because he's been talking trash on his own locker room for near 9 months now. And
he did it when he left Kansas City too. So
yeah, I guess that's true. Well, I would say that was slightly different. It was innuendo. I thought he was pumping up Tua at the time, which still needs pumping up. We'll see how Jalen Waddle feels about Tua in a couple weeks. But I think the interesting part here is obviously devastating injury at his age, one that is not just season-ending, but you could see a career-ending injury here. I want to talk about a couple of things, and I want your opinion because I think you have a stronger opinion about this than I do. I've had enough today, so that's fine. What do you think if he can return to a normal post ACL at 30 years old, which would be 90 to 95% of your previous ability? That would be an ideal situation. Say that happens. There's no way cap-wise that the Dolphins can keep him on this roster. They need cap relief. They will get it this offseason. There is no way around that. He's on the hook he would be $58 million against their cap next year for a guy who you don't know who can even play. So he will be released. I am certain of that. Would you entertain the idea if his rehab is well and he were able to return to say 90% of his previous ability? Would you consider bringing him back to Kansas City?
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope.
Okay.
No, and I'll tell you why. There's multiple different reasons. Number one, Rashee Rice. Number two, Xavier Worthy. And number three, Jalen Royals. And I know we haven't seen anything from the rookie, but to me, I think you look at that wide receiving core, and I think you feel pretty good about it going into 2026. Tyreek Hill will be 32 years old next year, and I am not sold that he will get back to that 90 to 95%. And maybe he possibly can, but that injury was extremely gruesome, and I think that there's probably a lot of different things that we don't know about that injury, and I think he's probably going to need more surgeries. So I wouldn't consider it. I also don't think that with who his agent is, they would do anything that would be cheap.
Advantageous to the team, yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think that there's – and that doesn't even get into – his off the field stuff, if you want to put it that way.
Folks, for the record, before Chris finishes this thought, Drew Rosenhaus is his agent, and Drew does not give deals.
Yeah. So if he wants to come back and play in Kansas City, he would need to do something, I think, better than the Hollywood Brown deal. And I do mean better, like as in lower than what Hollywood Brown got, because I don't think that he has the ability to stay healthy long-term with the injury that he got. And obviously Hollywood Brown doesn't either, or hasn't. I mean, he's been fine this season. We'll see if that continues. I don't think it's a great fit. And you look at it, and I would rather go with what you have, draft somebody again, because I do think that that's something that they're going to continue to do. And I'm not so sure that Rashee Rice isn't a bona fide number one wide receiver that gets paid by the Chiefs this offseason. And if you do that, I do not know that you would really consider going out and bringing in a Tyreek Hill, who I think is going to be more of a distraction than really a help, at least during the 2026 season. And then by 2027, he's going to be 33 years old. So, I just look at it. I cannot see him being healthy in 2026, healthy enough to really contribute. His game is predicated on speed. And if he loses that speed, I think that's a big problem for him.
I agree with you there. I am more optimistic about the physicality of it. The thing that I'm concerned about is nerve damage because of how twisted that injury was and how dislocated. It wasn't just a little kneecap dislocation. This was not a patella-only issue. The joint came apart, and that can impinge nerves, and that's the number one thing. But I'm under the impression, at least for this exercise, that he is going to return to a normal 90% of prior, as though there's no nerve damage. And that would put him on track to play next season, mid-season. Roughly a year.
But I don't think there's the bigger thing for me is I don't think there's any possible way that he takes a contract that is going to be advantageous to this team.
Well, that's where I'm going next. Yeah, I agree with you. But I do think that physically there is a part there. And because of Rosenhaus, I agree. They're going to try to do that. But I see it very much as a possibility that you would entertain, knowing with a couple of restrictions, but knowing where it is. Much like another ex-Dolphin is right now, Christian Wilkins, who, yes, was just released for the Raiders, but is a former Dolphin as well. And he has an injury. And mid-season was supposedly the timeline for him to be ready to play again. And if that's the case, I think it might be something that comes right up to the wire, where it's going to be a true old school, we're going to come in and work you out and see what you can do before we even entertain the idea. And quite frankly, due to what you were just talking about, the off-the-field concerns. I mean, his house just caught on fire last year. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that always surrounds Tyreek Hill. It would have to be a couple of stipulations. You don't bring any of that drama. You don't speak to the media. You don't pull any of your crap that you're doing in your locker room because you're back with Travis and Patrick. I think the one locker room in this league that he could survive in without causing a stir is Kansas City.
I like how you said he's back with Travis and Patrick, which I think is a little much.
See how I did that? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I wasn't going to let it go. We will see if that's even a possibility, but I just can't see that this is a great scenario for the Chiefs. It goes beyond the money. He's a distraction. I don't think that he fits the locker room culture that they have right now, and that's honestly that's something I don't want him in the locker room for. I mean, the culture and specifically that wide receiver room, look at the young guys they have. I mean, you have Xavier Worthy, we'll see what Royals can do, but you know what you have in Rashee Rice. He's going to be the leader of that wide receiver room when he comes back, even past Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, to an extent, just because of the type of player he is and what he's going to be doing on the field. He's going to be in that leadership role. And I don't want to have any chance of messing that up. I'd rather Kansas City go out and spend another second or third round pick and get another stud wide receiver that they can bring in and just continue building the wide receiver room that way. I mean, if Hill wants to come back and play for $2 million and nothing guaranteed, maybe you consider it, but there's 0% chance that that's going to happen with who his agent is and honestly with what he needs to be able to make. Let's put it that way.
Agreed. And I could even see spending $5 million on that player at that level. But he, like you said, he has to understand you are at best the third wide receiver on this team. You are here to be an elder statesman and do whatever you can do to help the youngins come along. You are now the mentor, and that's not a role that Tyreek Hill has embraced before.
You're now Juju.
Yeah. Although even 90%, he's still faster at accelerating than Juju ever was. So
that's
there
true.
Is something to say for that.
Yes, but I meant the leadership aspect of it more than anything else.
Yeah, fair enough. Always an interesting thing when you got to bring up Tyreek Hill. We thought we'd give you that. We'll see what happens down the line, but a lot of folks been asking me about it. So thanks for being with us today to discuss some of the more fun stuff here as we take a look at the AFC West. We will have a preview show for you. It will come out late Sunday, early Monday so that you can be prepared for Monday Night Football. And obviously, we will be live post-game on Monday night. Thank you for doing that. Check out KC Chiefs Corner, NFL33.com, and RGRfootball.com. That's where you can get even more, including some of my other thoughts around the league, because that's always a lot of fun. Thank you, you everydayers. We couldn't do it without you. And if you want to be one, make sure that you're subscribed at the end of this. If you got this far, you are a true fan, and we appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next time.